Tank after party. I'm gonna give people time to hop in here real quick, real quick. Do me a favor for those of you that are jumping in here, text pivot PIVOT to 27636. That way you can stay connected. We want questions. We got a lot of more in store to talk about. It was a couple of things that we heard that was very, very like transitional. It was like, wow, we need to talk about that a little bit more. And so we also got a special guest in here. You see Pastor P. I'm wearing my Brown Everywhere shirt. He is our online pastor. He is over Brown Everywhere. So anything Brown Everywhere is Pastor P. So here with this as a special guest. He's also over the single ministry as well. So having him here, he's gonna be a representative for them. Tell them to come on over here and hang out with the Pivot Ministry. But before I do that, I'm gonna let everybody introduce. Nadia, we'll start with you, Markel, then Deloach, and just tell us how your day been going.
What's up, everybody? I hope y'all enjoyed that talk. Cause listening to it back again, bless me all over again. I'm Nadia, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. He just said my name. Glad to be here with my guys to have this after party. My day's been good. Pretty good day, pretty easy day. Not that hot outside. Grateful for that. Even though it's about to get spicy. So we got it.
Let's go. Markel, you next.
Here I go. Okay. What's up, y'all? I'm Markel. It's good being with y'all. Like she said, it was definitely good going back and rewatching it and just hearing it. Because when you in it, you don't necessarily get the fullness of it. So it was definitely good watching it. And my day was long. My job, we travel sometimes. So I had to drive to Little Rock and drive all the way back today. So it was a good day. You know what I'm saying? But everything was good, though.
Hey, good deal. Safe travels. I'm glad you made it back, man. Pastor Deloach, Pastor Chuck, Pastor Red, Pastor
What's
Shot.
up? What's up, y'all? I'm Pastor Charles DeLoach the third. I don't know what I'm supposed to say after that, but I'm ready to have this conversation. And also, I don't know if Pastor Petty mentioned this. I'm going to do a shameless plug. There is a panel this Saturday at the church, singles panel. Definitely hop into that and check it out this Saturday, August 20th at the Fellowship Hall in main campus. Check that out. It's going to be dope.
All right, and Pastor P, you introduce yourself, man. I'm gonna give you the honor to do that and let us know how your day been.
Good afternoon. Hopefully everybody can hear me. The audio now wants to act up, but Pastor P, definitely, I don't think it's a shameless plug. The singles panel discussion is Saturday, so I need everybody that is unmarried. So you don't have to just be single; it's unmarried. Come on through. I'm glad. I'm like, look, I started to feel like Pastor. Oh, I'm glad y'all young folks let me hang out with y'all today.
And for those of you that don't know, the Think Tank After Party is us collaborating with Brown Everywhere. So this is us working hand in hand. That's one thing at Brown we do. The ministries collaborate. We work together. Like you seeing Pastor Deloach here, Genesis Ministry. So that's what we do. We connect and we collaborate. And that's why the ministry flows the way it do. So thank you all for being here. I'm Pastor Floyd. Most people call me Trey, the young adult pastor here at Brown. And I'm just happy that the think tank is always that place where we have those hard, uncomfortable conversations. But it seems like it starts another conversation that helps frees people. And so I'm just thankful to be here. Thankful that you all are giving us this opportunity. So I don't know if people have entered into this live yet, but we're going to get things started. But I'm also going to correct myself. I said Jonte Austin and Bow Wow. No, it was Chingy and Tyrese. That's the song. Every time I try to leave, something keeps pulling me back. I myself. Hey, y'all. Yes, do correct themselves, and I'm correcting myself. I got all right. Jump into it. One of the first questions that came across to us was love versus lust. How do we define them? What's the difference? How do we, break it down? It's a two-way street. But I'm gonna allow the panel, I'm gonna allow the rest of the crew to break it down for us. What's the difference between love and lust? The movie is a thin line between love and hate, but we saying it's a thin line between love and lust. So I'm gonna mute myself and let somebody take it from there.
I'll kick it off. I'll say it's motivation. Motivation. You know, when if lust motivates you to do something for somebody, if you want something, let's say you want to have sex with somebody, and so you're gonna do stuff just so that you can have sex with them or whatever. that'll motivate you, right? Motivation. That's my motivation, is because I want to get physically active with this person. But then if you just love somebody, loving them will motivate you to do a lot of things, right? Outside of physical, that has nothing to do with physical. Even my own personal engagement of my fiance, we're just discovering how much we love each other because of our motivation outside of anything physical, and just things that we think about outside of nothing to do physical. And she's in Chicagoland, I'm in mid South right now, and so we feel more closer to each other more than ever because we're motivated off of love and not lust. And so I'm sure people have other things more can go into it, but I say motivation is it's what it is. I say what you're motivated by. It's what you're motivated by. Some of us are motivated by lust, and some of us are motivated by love.
Yeah, that's good. And I think too, in the church, I don't think we've ever defined these words, because the word lust, if you look up lust in the Greek, from the Bible or whatever, lust only means a strong desire. And so, like I said, on the first Kingdom Day, my pastor told me if I ever stop lusting after a woman, then something wrong. Like, lust is not nothing. It's nothing wrong with lust. There's nothing wrong with having a strong desire. You can have a strong desire for a lot of stuff. But like he was saying, like, it's the motivation, and it's also a choice. So love is a choice that invokes feeling. Love shouldn't just be, I feel this strong feeling, like that's your lust. But love is when you saying, okay, well, I feel these feelings, but how am I going to choose to display these emotions? How am I going to choose to display this affection? So it's definitely like, what he's saying is just your motivation behind it, and how you act it out. And so I think a lot of times we get caught up in this whole, lusting is bad and this and that. Well, man, to be honest, that's just human. Like, we over spiritualize it in the church. And so I think we should just keep it natural and know that lust is a good thing. But like the Lord said, it's your motivation and what you choose to do with it. So,
Marquette, you're gonna get in trouble saying that. It's gonna misinterpret what you said. You're gonna get us shut down. I think that there's a fine line between figuring out, like you said, the definitions between lust and love. Like, lust renders a reward because you desire something and you get it. Love has so many different avenues that comes out of it. Like, there's one return for lust, that's getting what you want. Love is not defined by I get what I want. Love is an action word. It's not just, oh, I feel this, or oh, I have these butterflies or something. Love has so many other avenues that comes out, sacrifice, respect, communication, if we're just talking about relationship wise. But out of lust, you only get the reward of getting what you want. So I think that's how you can determine how you feel about somebody. If I'm laying up with you and I'm getting what I want and that's all I got, cool. If that's what it is what it is. If it's purely physical, that's what you got going on. But love has a different reward system in my mind that I think is a lot more challenging than lust.
I like that. You got something for it, Pastor P?
I got a lot, but I'm really checking on this audio, man. Like, my stuff is going in and out in this Bible. It only mess up when I'm on with other people. So I think you all are saying everything. And what Sister Nadia said, you can get us trouble, right? But lust is that strong sexual desire, right? And I think as I was watching the show, I think that's the part the church has to start to acknowledge. It's a strong desire that's there whether we talk about it or not, right? And so lust is the strong desire, the action that comes after that can lead you down the pathway of sin. But love is action, right? So you can love someone and physically not be doing anything with them. So I think what happens so often is lust makes us feel good, happy, where love is joy. I can have joy and not be in a sexual relationship. But a lot of time that lust leads to happiness, and that's where you see, not just, the church does an excellent job talking about us young folk. You see, I put myself back in there, us young folk. But a lot of times it's everybody, and I'm here to bring what I call context. When you look at the STD rates, they're highest amongst baby boomers. See? So let's not act like this is a young person's sin, right? Or a young person's desire. So I think the difference very easily is, do I love Jesus enough to fight against the lust I have for fill in the blank? So
and I like how everybody said something and added on to each other, like the motivation. Like when we're talking about desires, like I thought about something in my mind, and you all know I'm big on illustration. That's just something that comes with it. And I think about desires. Like you could desire something, but the desire can eventually leave. Like if you're basing your love on somebody based on them being desirable, then I'm gonna tell you, brother, sister, that might be lust. Because I can desire, and I'm sorry, y'all, I'm talking about sweet potato pies, cakes. I know I've been talking about all these sweets, but that's because I just had another child, and I don't know, my taste buds has turned to like a sweet tooth or something like that. But for real, like my desire may be caramel cake, sweet potato pie, whatever, but eventually it changes. It doesn't stay the same. But when it comes to me loving my wife, I might not always desire her in that moment because we may be going at it with each other. But my choice to love her, regardless to my desire, lets me know that what we have is not lust, but it's love. Or what I have my feelings for her is not so much based on my desire of her, but it's based on the fact that I've chosen that I'm going to love her in spite of this moment might not be in a desirable moment. And so that's how I look at it. Like, desires can be strong, but they can change like seasons. One minute you want this, next minute you don't. One minute you want it like this, next minute you want to rap like this. So the desires definitely can change. And so if you're motivated by the desire, chances are it might not be love, it may be something else. And the tagline, lust. But now let's make it spicy. You know, we like to make it spicy in here. Here it is. This is what's gonna make it spicy because we about to offend some friends. Do friends hold friends accountable when it comes to dating? Like, you know, like, girl, you know, those moments where they be like, hey, you gonna lose him if you don't do this, or do you tell your friend, don't put yourself out there like that, no matter if that's what he's asking you for, no matter if that's what she's asking you for? Are friends holding friends accountable when it is dating thing, especially when it comes to the sexual side of dating as well?
Naughty, you ready, ain't it?
Listen, you already know I am. I gotta hold it down because Gabby's not here. I have to, and I haven't been here in a while too. I missed it. I have a saying, and I tell a lot of my friends is, don't make that man no plate. I tell my friends this all the time. Don't drop your head. Listen, when our friends start to date someone, and I know as a young woman, there's this eagerness to show like, hey, I'm available. I'm here. I'm that girl. Look at me, see me. You know, there's this whole pick me thing. Not that, but this eagerness that I feel like we push as young women to get, you know, attention from men. I tell my friends all the time, don't make the man no plate. He's been eating fine all this time. You don't have to go home and cook this man a meal. This man know how to cook. Well, how do you think he's been surviving all this time? Who's been feeding him? They will continue to feed him. Do not go make that man a plate. And he hasn't said, I would like to eat with you. And that's the caveat there. And that's what I tell my friends. Until someone says, this is what I want, this is what I'm expecting, this is my desire. Let me not say desire. This is you know, where I am with it. Don't take that extra step. And I try to make sure that I let my friends know to be careful with their boundaries. I talk about boundaries a lot. I want them to be careful with their boundaries because you can get caught up so quickly in your own mind, letting your mind go somewhere and your heart go somewhere that reality has not taken you. I'm trying to keep my friends accountable. It does not always work, but I'm real quick to say, where you at? You need to go home. I'm driving past one of my friends. Y'all, I'm driving past one of my friends and I see her car in a parking lot. And I know what time it is. I called her. I said, I'm finna come get you. I don't know who you in the cop. I'm finna come snatch you up. How you know where I am? I see your car. I see you. I'm about to come get you. And if I turn around and you still there, I'm knocking on the window. That's the kind of friend I am. That's the kind of stuff I do. Because I don't want to see anybody get caught up in these streets. Listen,
You realize
listen, I'm a rider. I'm a rider.
I mean, let's be in. Nadi, that was so good. I mean, I thank God for people like you. And just in general, for sure, because that's just real. It's real, and I love that analogy. Oh my gosh, so good. But I think we play with that when it comes to friends, right? So a lot of our friends endorse most. Well, I'm not going to speak for a lot of you all because I don't know all of your friends, but based off what I see, based off social media, because social media tells a lot. A lot of people are endorsed. They keep people around them that endorse whatever they're doing that makes them comfortable. And so if somebody doesn't endorse what you're doing and it's wrong, or not even say wrong, it's not of the world. It seems foreign, and you push them away because you're not used to that person speaking to you. But then even growing up, I was thinking about just my friends growing up, and sometimes like when you go to school, you can't help who you go to school with. You can't help. You live in a neighborhood. You live around people. You can't help that, right? You can't help that you're the only person that probably go to church in your whole class and understand that in high school and even college, right? You can't help that. And so it's more intentional depending on where you're planted, where you are, to even look for those. I think even though I can lean to more people that tell me no, right? That tell me, hey, bro, I don't think you should do that. Hey, bro, that wasn't the right way to do that. So me, I'm like, hey, that's what's up, because I know that you're really trying to help me out for the long run, 20, 15 years from now. And so I'm personally that's just kind of running to those people who call me out. And I personally am like, if I love this person as a friend, I need to call them out. I'm challenged to do that. I'm challenged to be like, look, bro, you know, this is what it really is. No matter how you feel, I know you feel this way, but this is what it really is. And now I'm telling you what you really is. Now what you're gonna do with it, is another thing. So it's just pushing me to even be more vocal to my people, to people I call friend. A lot of people know I don't call other people friends. And so those who I do call friend, they know I'm telling them what's up. And I'm trying. It's hard. It's hard for me because I have not had that in my personal life, and so it's something that I'm learning as well in terms of boundaries. And so that's why I say that's what's up out here because it's very foreign. That you don't really see that too much.
Going back to what Nadia said about don't fix somebody to play, I just wanted to kind of add this. One thing my pastor always tell me is, first of all, this for the men out there, or really just anybody, if you're looking for a spouse or you want to be married, you should look at how that person served other people first anyway. Like that person should be a servant to people, period, not just you. So, like you said, it ain't necessarily, don't fix that man to play, but are you fixing everybody else play too? Like if you a servant, then be a servant. Don't try to be a people pleaser because you want me. Don't try to please me just because you think that that's what I like. But one of the things that that's helped me is having not only a mentor in my pastor who holds me accountable, but having friends that I can be transparent with. Because, like for me, the way my friends hold me accountable, we hold each other accountable by the stuff like the preparation for marriage. So like getting out of the like something we was talking about in the text message thread. Gabby said that marriage is not going to solve the problem. It only solves like fornication. But like if you got problems with pornography, you got problems with masturbation, you got problems with all kind of stuff before you get married. Like you need people who gonna call you out on that. And so that's what my friends, that's what we do. We hold each other accountable in the preparation of marriage. Like prepare yourself first. Then when you get into a dating situation, then let's talk about that. But make sure you're doing stuff right before you even get there, so that when you get to the dating phase and then eventually the marriage, you'll be good to go. So that's all I got for you.
Somebody put in the chat that it's important when it comes to friends that they deem what you deem allowable. Like it's a matter of what they think is okay. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about in the panel, about being surrounded by like-minded people. We're talking about soul ties, and me and Gabby talked about how as very close friends we have a soul tie with each other. We are with each other all the time. She knows what I think is okay, and I know what she thinks is okay. It's easy for her to say, Nadia, you tripping on the boundary right now. Like, she'll call me out in a second because we're on the same page as far as what we both think is, allowable. So being surrounded by people in a place where you want to be held accountable. You can't ask people who do the stuff that you don't want to do to ask you, ask them to hold you accountable. They're always going to allow it. If you got the friend that like to turn up, she's always going to tell you to go turn up. She's never going to tell you to go home. It's so broad in the sense of relationships that just because you start dating one person, it does impact everything else around you. Like your friendships start to shift. The way that you talk to loved ones will start to shift, because I feel that when your family and your friends are the first people who you learn how to communicate with. Your parents, your siblings, these are the people that you learn how to communicate with. You have terrible relationships with your family, it's probably going to be hard for you to maintain relationships with friends and in relationships. And flipping that thing around, if you're having terrible communication in your relationship, it'll probably bleed over, into your friendship. So finding that balance, like Markel said, before you even get into that place, figuring out what it is that I'm willing to do, what I'm not going to do, my non-negotiables, like you said, when we recorded, all these different things play a part into how all of your relationships balance out. It's not just reclusing yourself and being like, oh, my man, my man, my man. Oh, my man, my man, my man. These things, it affects the rest of your life. So playing your part on the front end makes a huge difference in the friendships and the way that people hold you accountable on the back end.
And I just want to chime in. I'm the resident old married guy, right? But what I've learned is you got to start maybe redefining what you consider a friend, and so that took me a little bit longer in life to realize that some friends, although we were tight and close, that was only for a season, or when God took me in a different path, my ministry work went in a different path. Some people you have to allow to be on the sidelines until God can turn them around so they can be that friend. And I will say this, my friends, we're in college and before college, probably not how friends should be doing. It was more of a cheerleader for wrong versus a barrier or a boundary for right. But I can say those same friends now, as we gotten married and, had children, it's like, now I'm the ringleader, but I'm like, bro, it ain't worth it. Like it ain't worth it. I'm just gonna walk by you, say it ain't worth it. Because I remember, and I think as I was listening to you all earlier, talking about the soul ties and just the memory of. Hold on, I'm the one that gonna see everything, Marquil, so you don't have to worry about it. I'll go to the office. But the memory of past indiscretions as they start to come up, I'm the guy to remember. Hey, hold on, hey, it ain't worth it. Because what we've started to learn is, and I think like you all said, and I think not even mentioned this, the church has excellent resources to help guide us through these issues, but we are afraid to talk about it. And the world is going to teach our young people, our older people, their way, whether you teach your way or not. So you got to be very careful to surround yourself with friends that do understand, like you said, where am I going? Like the comment said, what do I deem necessary? Because you're going to always be able to find what I call yes men and women in your life, right? So if I want to turn up and you want to turn up, yeah, it should be all right. And I always tell people, I want the person in my corner like, bro, that don't even make sense. Man, why are we doing this? And then if you know me, I'm the person that's probably the most disagreeable person. Like I'm over opinionated. Not because I think I'm right. I just, have you thought about the consequences? Have you been down this particular road? And so, as when we look at kingdom dating, I think that actually has to mushroom too, because when you look at kingdom dating, it's easy to talk about unmarried people dating. But now married people got to learn how to date their spouse, because other people know how to date your spouse, right? So, y'all talking about how sex has blossomed into the avenues. I think even kingdom dating is sometimes what date you're not going on. So, I think that's some of the things that we got to look at. But I think y'all are talking about what people need to hear, and I'm trying to do my facilitator moderator thing because Floyd dropped off. Like when we talk about soul ties, and here's a question that was put out on another part of the media, so I don't know if y'all got it. But when y'all talk about soul ties, the question they asked were, can you ever get released from that soul tie. So I'm gonna put it out there for you all because that's what's coming in on my end.
So Pastor Petty, Floyd said he in the backstage. He was waiting on you to let him back in. He said he just texted everybody. He was backstage.
I've been trying to search. I can't even see it. But
he said, I'm just here waiting.
But Pastor Petty, kind of keep going. Is Gabby mentioned something? There you go. Welcome back, man. Gabby mentioned something that I think was very, very very powerful as it pertains to our theology of being a Christian. Is that God can break that? He has the power to. He's able, to do that. And it must sound. It's very cliche, very, very cliche, very cliche. But questions is, what do we give to God? Do we give God that? Do we open him up to be able to come into that and say, and have those real discussions with the Lord and say, hey, Lord, this, that, and the third, because he has power to do that. I mean, he has much power to do that. He's able. We know that. And we sing it, we preach it, we shout it every Sunday, but now we have to really understand as much as it is practical, God is very, very, very much sovereign, and he can break that. He can come in between that. There is grace for that. Gabby, she brought that. I'm glad she brought it out in the discussion, because we can talk about practical. We can be very relational. We can be very horizontal, but we forget that we also serve a God. That's what makes us different from many other podcasts, right? Is that we have a source that can break these things that seem so natural. And even, right, I want to even push the envelope a little bit further, right? The Lord says certain things only come by fasting and praying, and how's your fasting life? Are you fasting? What are you fasting for? Are you fasting correctly? There's some things in my life that I'm developing, that I'm doing, that I'm seeing differences in because I'm changing my prayer life, even fasting, right? And so God is able. That's all I'm gonna give it that day. Y'all can have it after that.
You got some Floyd?
No, you had something on it. I definitely want to hear it, bro.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, add on to what he was saying, is something that we was saying in the discussion was just like, what are you replacing it with? Like, what are you replacing those old habits with? What are you replacing your time with? And so I like how Pastor Mike Todd said it. He said, God's supernatural is just God adding super on the end of the natural. Like, until we actually put in the effort to get to know God and let God come into our lives and let the Holy Spirit do his work, we basically, like, we're not giving God nothing to work with. Like, we keep coming to God, asking God to deliver us, but how often are we going and getting in the word? Are we finding out who God says we are? Are we really replacing all of our old habits, toxic habits, and all that with the word of God and allowing God to do the work? And so, like, going back to what he said, it's just, of course, we already forgiven in it, but like Gabby said, the grace is not just for forgiveness. Like, grace is not just not just for sin, but grace extends to whatever you need. But you gotta allow grace to be grace. You gotta allow grace to work in your life. And so you gotta replace all that old stuff and old habits with God and with his word.
So what's amazing about what you said, it goes into a question that was given to us, or a thought that was brought into mind about grace. So let's get to somebody bad at me, but you might throw away your purity ring after today. But there's a lot of people that purchased some purity rings. Who was was it Megan Good and whoever her husband is, I forgot his name. But the brother, they was talking about getting purity rings and all this kind of stuff. And I've seen a lot of people going out getting their purity. But the ideal is what they idolize in purity based off of saying, me being pure is me not having sex makes me pure. I'm white as snow. This is my life. And I think Deloach brought something up during our think tank as we was in the background talking. And I would like for him to put a little bit more spin on that, because like I said, I want to help some that purity ring back in the draw, take it back.
Yeah. So the intention is good, right? There's nothing wrong with shooting for purity. I think that is very much so great. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a purity ring, that's great, cool. And there's nothing wrong with that. But are you idolizing purity over God? Right? Purity will not make you closer to God, but being closer to God will make you pure. And I think we have to rethink that everything, right? Being married is right. Somebody said that in the chat too, in our text too. Being married doesn't make you closer, doesn't make you not lust more. You know what I'm saying? But being closer to God is the answer for everything. And so, to those of you that are trying to be celibate, be abstinent, it's a great thing, but don't idolize that. If you break that, right, it ain't the end of the world, right? But ultimately, it's your relationship. How, are you trying to build a discipline before you create relationship? Because now your discipline is God, and your relationship with God is just on the side, right? But build your relationship to create those disciplines, to make those disciplines more. Here it is, what Markel said, supernatural. I think that's where, as a church, we have to push more. We harp on a discipline so much, right? Fasting and praying ain't gonna do nothing if you don't know the Lord. It's just a discipline. You just doing a nutrition plan at that point, right? But when you know the Lord, those things will be a little bit more, supernatural. Then you begin to see something. So it's all about your relationship at the end of the day, and that's literally something I'm walking through personally. I'm not saying that it's something that I don't know. It's something I'm literally actively at this very second am working on, is my personal relationship with the Lord. And I'm seeing that the closer I'm getting to Him, the more I'm convicting myself of things that I shouldn't be doing, things that I don't do, right? And I'm seeing myself walk closer to Him, and I'm pulling away from those things. And so, that's one of those things I just wanted us to kind of, push on, and y'all can take it and eat it wherever y'all build on that if y'all want to, for sure. But get closer to the Lord is the cure.
That reminds me of, I think it's Psalms 119. It says, how can a man keep his ways pure? By heeding to the word of God. I hate purity culture. I had a purity ring. I went through this True Love weights class, and I was like 11, 12 years old. I got this ring. I signed this paper, promising to remain abstinent until marriage. They took us to this class. We learned about STDs and pregnancy and soul ties and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And the issue with all of that, and let me be clear and say that it's not that you shouldn't teach young people about being pure. I hate how they use the word pure, though, because that, even that in itself, scripturally, it don't. Let me not go into it. The issue with that was that, for one, there weren't a lot of young men in the class, and it was being put on girls. And it was like, how do you teach young girls to be pure when they gonna sleep with men? It didn't make sense to me. Somebody gonna lose their fight in the conversation. Somebody gonna lose. One of us is gonna be trying, and the other one is not. My other issue with that was that we were taught that by being pure, we would be able to get husbands. Like, if you remain abstinent, the Lord is going to reward you for your purity, and He's going to give you a husband. And it wasn't never that you were going to get a pure husband. You were just going to get a husband. You were just going to hope that your husband was a virgin when y'all got married. But 9 times out of 10, not so much, because, boys will be boys. That was the kind of stuff that was being taught, and not directly, but kind of like insinuating that this idea of a reward system, and that's works. That don't make sense to me. That this idea of, by you doing this thing, God is going to be so pleased with you that He's going to give you this blessing, and He's going to bestow favor on you because you did XYZ. But my Bible tells me that a man can remain pure. How can a man stay pure? But by heeding to the word of God. The only cure for all of these issues, sexual immorality, promiscuity, is holiness. That's it. It's not purity. I've heard so many girls that I know, and I'm almost 30 now, and all of my friends are getting married. And I have a few friends that remain, abstinent until they got married. And a lot of them, when they met their fiancés, said the same thing. I thought I was okay until I met somebody I really liked. I was fine with being pure because I thought this is what God want, until I really met somebody I liked. And then I didn't know how to keep myself anymore, because this whole time it's been a badge of honor. This whole time it's been, you can't touch me because, if this whole time it's been, well, you don't deserve me because, and not being kept by the word of God, not being kept because this is the relationship that I have with the Lord. But now I find somebody I really like, and I'm looking at this boy like, ooh, well, maybe I don't need to wait. Well, we get married anyway. We might as well just, let's go ahead and knock it out. This is the kind of stuff that I'm hearing from women my age. Let me not say girls, women my age who have gone through this whole purity thing. And it's been damaging because their whole theology of being kept by God is based in a ring. Their whole relationship of being able to be kept by the Spirit, finding themselves kept in prayer, being able to fast or being able to die to flesh, none of that is existent. It's all been because I got this ring on my finger, and this ring say, until you put one on this hand, you can't have it. And that's been keeping them until they met somebody they really like. And then it got hard for the saints. It got real hard for the saints. Listen, I would love to do a whole episode about purity culture, but they might really kick me out for real then. So
I'm with you, Nadia. I'm definitely with you.
Hey, but Nadia, I think you might have actually hit the so and that. Oh man, I'm starting to sound like Pastor. Being the old man in the room. You might have actually went right there when you went to Psalms 119. The scripture says, "How can a young person stay pure?" In order to stay pure, it means you are already pure. So you understand the enemy comes to attack what you consider purity. And I think that's where we as a Baptist and a believing culture, we, and I'm going to take it a little bit old school. Old school was do like I say, because I told you, and the discipline of the purity ring, the discipline of true love waits was enough to sustain you even into marriage. Now we're dealing with a culture where the 9-year-old has a phone and access to pornography. So we're not even getting to stay pure. We're starting off not pure, all right? And then we're refusing to teach because it's taboo. And now I have learned for 18 years the wrong way while being disciplined for even talking about the feelings God allowed me to have. And now purity, as I think it was Brother Deloach, Pastor Deloach said it, purity equates to fornication equals you go to hell. We just went from one sin to actually, damnation. We never talk about the process, which is the same issue with sanctification, right? We believe that, yes, I walked down this aisle, I gave my life to God, and I gave my hand to the preacher. Now my problems go away. And so I think that's where you see as you call it, the purity culture, because being a youth pastor for many years, oh yeah, we had the true love weights. We had those classes, and there was a whole ceremony, but like you said, 97% ladies. So the guys don't have to have true love weights, or the other side. The parents upset that the church has the audacity to talk about what clearly the Bible talks about all along. Like I tell people, especially young dating, because Brother Deloach is getting engaged. I'm gonna tell him you got to hold off. You got another year or so. You got to hold off Floyd. Me and Floyd should be in Solomon every night. That's good word for the married folk, right? All right, now you all should be reading Solomon saying this is where it's going to be. But until you get there, but we act as if the Bible does not talk about lust, fornication. It doesn't talk about sex. Homosexuality didn't just start in the last 20 years. Like this was always there. But when we confuse purity with how can a young person stay pure, because as Nadia just mentioned, what the eye starts to see as you find someone that really does catch your attention, or someone that shows you the attention that you're lacking. Or if I could just jump over into secular view, you got the 80, but when the 20% show up and you start realizing, I got that 80, but that's the 20 I'm not getting. That's when you say, and then it says, how can a young man or a young person stay pure? But it also says by obeying the word. So that's the part of the scripture that now I'm gonna go back to the other side. It's the old man in me. So yeah, the purity ring, the purity culture a lot of times is, I grew up in a time where certain types of sex were okay before marriage if you want to be pure. I'm like, man, that must be a new version of the Bible. I ain't got that one. I got a lot of them. I got the ESV, NSV, but they wasn't in there, right? And so when you look at that, you got to obey the word. And when you're obeying the word, that means I got to kill my flesh daily, which means I have struggles every day. And that's why I think you go back, and I'm just kind of tying in because I think Floyd, definitely needs to. I know he got a whole bunch. You can tell when you rub the hands together, he got a lot to say. But I think that's the issue. We got to put these things together. I need holy, like-minded friends who are willing to say, girl, I saw you part. No, no. All right. And then I need to understand what the Bible is saying. My strong desire, sexual desire, that's normal. My actions toward it or what I do with it, that's where the spiritual battle. And then I got to stay pure, but understand that's purity in action, thought, mindset, culture. There's more than just the actual act. And then I need to stay in the word. Like Brother Deloach said, it doesn't need to be a nutrition plan. I am fasting and praying. I'm actually, that's funny you mentioned that. I'm fasting and praying, or just finished up one and probably going to another one, because I realize that sometimes our fast needs to be simply because God has blessed us enough for us to ignore the things that are not good for ourselves. So he's elevated us. He's given us the desires of our heart. He's given us that car. And now we might need to fast from driving it. What happened when I get back in that '05 Infinity and start to smell that oil burn a little bit? Thank you, Lord, for giving me a new truck, right? You see what I'm saying? So I think purity comes in all forms, but go ahead, Floyd.
Hey, no. I love everything you all said. I mean, we could go all night on it if we could. If you all don't mind in the chat, just for the fun of it, man, put some threes in there. We need to visit Kingdom Dating Part 3, Purity Culture. Like, we already got a title for it. But no, definitely, I think we can go so far on the purity side, and I like everything that each and every one of you all have said, and I know it's past our time, it's people bedtime. I want you all to get in the bed, but definitely put them threes in the chat if you think we should do it again. Hey, why not? We can run this back one more time, 3P. But I'm thankful that we had this conversation. But I'm gonna say this as I close: the reason why we had this conversation wasn't about to tell people let's not have sex. Let's, like, those come had them a lot. We're talking about what comes behind sex, what comes behind us, having the opportunity to be intimate with someone that's not our husband or our wife, our spouse. We having these conversations because we need to talk about the consequences and stop putting, like me and Deloach always say, consequences and punishments are not the same thing. Punishments are things put in place to change the behavior. Consequences are things that happen because of the behavior. And so we're talking about consequences, not punishment. And so that's the reason why we had this conversation, because I want you all to understand that consequences do happen. Good choices, bad choices, there will be consequences. But that's the point of soul ties, because that comes with having sex. But I believe we can go further with it, but I want you all to get some rest. Thank you, Pastor P, for joining us. It's always good to have that wisdom be brought on board. I know you're doing a great job with the single ministry. Pastor Deloach will be on the panel. So if y'all want to get some more of that good Southern Baptist tone, Chi-Town preacher, you'll get some more of him on at Saturday, 7:00, LaBelle Hall, if I'm not mistaken, right? LaBelle Hall, correct? No, okay. Where is it? Want to make sure.
Fellowship Hall, I believe.
Fellowship.
Yeah, main campus Fellowship Hall, 6:30. 6:30.
Okay. Wrong time, wrong place. But here you go, 6:30, Fellowship Hall. Y'all be there. Single, unmarried people, be there. People that are dating. Come on, this is the things we're putting in place because we want to help you all walk through this stuff. Like I said, Sunday is good. We can shout on Sunday, but we still got to live life and practice those things on Monday. And thank you all for tuning in. Again, we appreciate you all. And as we all say in the think tank and at the after party, stay safe and protect yourself.